Start recording, and you should see now I was sharing on a page of what we're going to work on here for this session. I'm going to review over the directions specifically for our final draft and show you the format for the feedback and direct you to where you can find your specific individual feedback. As part of our APA final draft, you'll be reaching out to consult with a tutor, and I'll walk through what will meet that requirement. We'll just look over the list of our remaining assignments, and I'll point out how you can take part also in a one-on-one meeting with me, which can count as one of your engagement activities, and it also will be an option for your part of your final project. So that might be something that you're all interested in. So I'm going to switch screens now and stop sharing the files, and instead I'm going to share my computer screen. And I'm going to go into Blackboard. Okay, so you should be with me on Blackboard, and I'm scrolling down to where we're at right now. So coming up due is today our Module 6. You also have this week our Lost Boys assignment. Then we move into Module 7, which is due next week, and our final draft of the APA paper. Now those are both due on the same date, but they're given a block of time to work ahead. So we kind of have a number of things that pull up at the end of our semester with the hopes that you'll be looking ahead and it'll give you time to organize your schedule. The specific one I'm going to open up here is our final draft of the mini APA paper. You can find in there a video that I had recorded from a previous time I did a session like this, so that may be as useful. I'll also go ahead and put our help session in here that you'll have an easy place to refer back to it. The steps that I'm having you do for this is that you specifically are reviewing the feedback that I received from your first draft. And the place that you can find that feedback is in an email that I sent specifically to you. I sent that here over the last couple hours. So if you've not checked your email in the last half hour, it may be sitting there for you to be able to pull up. That feedback will be an attachment in that email, and I'm going to, in a moment, walk through that form that I used and to be able to answer questions about that form and things that you'll be working with. You'll also, as part of this assignment, consult with a writing tutor. This is both to give you a resource for helping you with those final corrections, along with learning how how to use a tutor and where those resources are available to you. And you have a couple options with that we'll walk through. Then go ahead and make the edits to your first draft. Save it again. Make sure you don't upload the one without the corrections. Be sure to save it again. Upload that and upload some documentation that shows me that you connected with a tutor. I'm pretty flexible on what I accept for that documentation. It can be an email, it can be a screenshot, it can be the name and date that shows that you had an appointment with them. It could be the contact information so I can reach out to them and confirm that. So there's not a specific way to show me that, just to be sure to include something for that. All right. So those are the directions we're working with. I'm going to come back and stop sharing our screen. Instead, I'm going to go to sharing a file and look at the type of feedback. So this is the form that I use to give you feedback on your first draft. What I wanted to see on your paper and what I want to see on your final draft of it are listed here on this left column. On the right is what I flagged is if you had done everything correctly for that part of it, I put that there. Or let's say for this section, you did all those things, but you didn't do double spacing. I may put feedback right there and say, you'll want to add double spacing. On page 1, this was a title page. These are the key things to have included. And this is what I listed over here if you were missing any part of that. Page 2, here are the things that I'm looking for. And in this box, I would have given you feedback of the parts that you may want to correct. You may have only given me 2 citations, and we had 3, so I may have flagged that here. Or one of those citations may have had something that you'll want to work on, or you might have been missing the page numbers or the heading, so I indicated that here. The next row down is for page 3. This is the reference list. Here's on the left side what I'll be looking for, and then on your feedback, what was missing or what parts you might want to fix or check in with the tutor. Then this next part is what I'll be looking on your final draft, that there's some sort of documentation helping from a tutor, and I give you some notes here to remind you about that and what you'll be needing for that. So you'll contact them. There's a couple places you can contact a tutor, and I'll walk through that here in just a moment. Then you'll post something for me about connecting with them. Again, I'm not, don't have a specific way that I need you to do that, just to include that. For some reason, everything got highlighted here for us. Well, we'll just work with it that way. And then here are some suggestions of the resources that you can use for working with a tutor. Foresight Tech has a learning center. They are set up now during this COVID time period to work with you online. And there's a link that you can use to connect with them. I give you 2 links for doing that, or a phone number. So you can call them and they can walk you through that, or the email that you can use to contact them. And you can schedule to meet with them online. So you'll schedule a time. So you'll want to not do this at the last moment, but you can probably in a few days get a time with them. And then you'll share with them the directions and share with them the feedback I've given you and ask them to help you sort it out or show you the specific parts that still aren't making sense. That's with the college's learning center, that they're available during the daytime, during the week. We also have a resource called Smart Thinking, which is available at all times, so 24/7. And here is a link for accessing them. And then you would want to get a screenshot of working with them. And they have a couple different ways that you can work with them. You can send them something and then wait a few days to get feedback back. Or I think they work really well to also use the links for the Writing Center and the live tutor. And then they can give you a chat room like this that you can type in your questions and you can work with them as long as you need to. So if you want to upload and say, this is how I did my reference list, what's wrong? What am I missing? Or my instructor asked me to use a hanging indentation and I don't know what that means. And they'd be able to show that to you. And then at the end, again, you'll make those corrections on your final draft and document your contact with a tutor. And then you post those under the final draft. So that's where we're at for the APA final draft. Look at my feedback, check in with a tutor, make the corrections, upload both the corrected document and the documentation that you consulted with somebody. Let me pause there and check in with any questions that you may have. Oh, I had some good points that you weren't able to see the Blackboard screen. So let me walk through and show that again. Thank you for letting me know that. I am going to try to do that again. When you post those, let's see. Your screen. All right. And going into Blackboard. So you'd go into coursework. We're scrolling down. And final draft of APA paper. When you open up this folder, there's another video from a prior semester I had recorded that I thought might be helpful. There are the list of the directions, and there's a list that I talked through, and then the place that you would upload that. Let me come back and check in. Let me know if that worked at that point, that you could see Blackboard while we're doing that. And then the form that I was working with to show you was this one right here. Okay, so hopefully that was able to show up and you were able to hear what I was talking about, and it's still very straightforward, so hopefully that felt like a simple steps to be doing. At the end of the form that you got feedback, so this form that would be very specific to your individual work that you submitted to me, I sent as an attachment with an email just earlier today. And in that email, I also include the options and links for connecting with a tutor. So let me pause there and see if that has left any questions for anyone. And you can either turn off your mics and speak, or turn on your mics and speak, or type those in. Or if no questions, go ahead and let me know that. I'll get ready to move on. All right, hopefully you're with me. Anyone not seeing any responses now? Imagining you're able to hear me and putting out some questions. If you're speaking now, I'm not hearing you. Okay, we got a question. When you refer to the final draft, that is, all right, so Jessica's asked, when you refer to the final draft, that is a paper that has been done with a tutor. Correct. So your final draft will look very much like your first draft with the corrections. So the corrections will be the things that I flagged on that feedback. So this form that you see, a blank one in front of you, hopefully here on our screen, any corrections that I placed in there along with the ones that you'd worked with on the tutor. Some of the things that I might have flagged, you may not feel you need to check in with the tutor. You can use also the other resources, like you might find an example in our Blackboard shells, or you might find an example in your textbook, and then you just check in with the tutor on one part of it. Key thing is that you should practice checking in with a tutor. So even if you're, let's say, oh, I figured it out, I don't have any questions for the tutor, then all you need to do is practice using the tutor and just say, hey, I'm checking it out. My teacher wanted me to practice using you. That's what I'm doing right now. And it can be a really quick tutor session. Or you can do a really long tutor session and get them to go through all the steps with you. So good question. We're referring to the final draft is our final corrected paper, the one that we'll also consult with the tutor on. Other questions? Imagine Some of you might be typing or putting in, or if no questions, go ahead and let me know that too. All right, so while you may be thinking of questions or getting those posted, I'm going to go ahead and keep going. All right, so we got another question. So the paper is just a corrected version of the paper we already wrote. Right, so that's another way of saying it. So this is not a new paper. There's no research on this paper. And again, it's just the APA template. It's the same thing that you had done, just with the corrections. So yes, correct for Jamie's question was, so the paper's just a corrected version. Correct. All right. All right, so we looked at the directions, looked at how I was giving you feedback, flagged the sources for using a tutor. And again, in this COVID time, will be accessing either the college tutors during the daytime, setting up a time period with them, or using the online tutors through Smart Thinking. So either of those resources is available to you. I wanted to just use this time to flag what remaining assignments we have for the rest of the semester, and then to talk about the one-on-one meeting option with me. So below on this form, I have our remaining assignments. Module 6 is out there open, and that includes a checklist for that module, and that's today's, due today. There's a project called The Lost Boys, where there's a link that you will watch a video and then complete the grid. You would be doing that online, so there's a form to link. If for some reason you're not able to save your form or get the formatting to work, you can use an alternate form and just tell me your answers for that. There are a number of things that we use on that grid to look for as you're watching this movie. You should be able to find most of them, but don't panic if you can't find all of them. Some of them may be harder than others. Try to complete most of the grid. Module 7 is due July 14th. Same day as the final draft, so you can pace yourself there to get the final draft done. Then the final project, and I'm going to pull that up in a moment. Our final exam will be open through the 14th to the 21st. Again, you have 3 attempts with that. 21st is when our semester ends, and our last engagement events will also close that date. So there's a number of forums that you can participate in. You can go to my gradebook and count up how many engagement events that you've been involved in. The minimum is 4, and then any beyond 4 is extra credit. So just keep that on your radar. We're going to go back and look at the final project, and I'm going to show you one part of that, how you can schedule a one-on-one meeting with me and why that might be a choice that you'd like to make. So let's see if I can get the screen working. So, stop looking there. We're going to go share my screen. And going into Blackboard, down coursework, we have what's called our final project. So down here at the bottom, and I'm going to open up and look at those directions. Final project, oh, it says spring. This should also be the same. It's the same one that we'll also use in the summertime. It was originally going to be a couple assignments that we have combined together now. So the formatting should look familiar of what you've been setting up, learning how to do APA. And then you'll have sections, and you choose these. All right. So you'll select from these. You're going to select 6 of them. You may choose to write on why human services, and here's what I tell you about for that. You may choose to do about your view on human nature, and there's a handout that you'll refer to also in this folder. You may choose to assess your strengths and weaknesses as a new professional. You may choose to have an advising appointment. And some of this references prior to spring break. This is for this because I ran the same assignment during our spring semester. But this is the one that you'll have an option to schedule a one-on-one meeting with. Remember, if you do that, you get to count it as an engagement event, and then you get to also put in the content here as part of your final project, and you'll get some useful information. So that's going to be one that you may want to include, but it doesn't have to be to complete the final project. Your other choices are you could talk about your area of interest. You could, I'm scrolling down, choose an agency and tell me about it, one that you may be interested in. You choose a second agency, and you could choose to set up an interview with a human services professional. So there are some choices for that assignment. You'll want to start working on that ahead of time so you can get enough in there to get all the points for your final project. Going back, one of the options was about referred to a handout about human nature, and here's a copy of that if you need to, if you choose that one. But that section about having a one-on-one meeting, you'll schedule that. And the way you're going to schedule that, I'm going to take you to a spot in the discussion board. This will be a one-on-one meeting that we would do by phone and computer. In the discussion forum, you'll scroll down, and it is this one here, engagement event, schedule a one-on-one appointment with me. So when you have your scheduled time with me, we'll meet one-on-one on a meeting like we're using now, Blackboard Collaborate. We'll chat about your career goals and how the semester's going. I'll share some ideas and options that might match your career goals. Some of these might be job ideas or some options for four-year degrees, some suggested courses. And we'll look specifically at your upcoming semester, and I'll make some course suggestions, and then I'll make sure that you're help you with registering for the fall and answer any specific questions you may be having. So our meeting will be about a 20 to 30 minutes. You'll go to sign up for that. You'll go into this discussion board, and I have a bunch of different meeting times. So they could be on between July 13th to July 16th, and you can pick a time that matches your schedule. Let's say, for example, Monday, July 13th at 3 o'clock. Good. You'd go in there. If no one else has commented there, you'll reply to me and say, I would like this time. You'll reserve it for yourself. So submit that, and it'll go in there for that comment. Then I'll find that in the discussion board, and I'll email you with a link, and we'll both sign on at that day and time and have our one-on-one meeting. All right. So those are all in now under the discussion board. You can, if that sounds like what you would like to do, you can go in after this event, scroll down, and find your spot. If you need a different time, those are on the 13th through the 16th. They are between noon and 5. Let's say that time doesn't work for you that week and you need something in the morning or evening. Email me directly and tell me that, and I'll schedule outside of that with you. So I will have some opportunity to do that outside with you. If you have any last minute questions about your APA paper, which is going to be due on the 14th, you might want to pick out one of those time slots on the 13th. And then we could use it for both that, and those could be some of your questions you want to pose with me. So just another tip. All right, so I am going to stop sharing that screen and come back and see what other questions we might have. So any other questions about anything here for what we talked about today? The final draft of your APA template, your final project, your last modules, how to schedule that one-on-one meeting with me. Anything else going on? Jessica says she's good with everything. All right, any other questions coming? All right, Jamie's good. All right. Got a couple others reconnecting. Okay, well, I'm not hearing any other questions, or if you have one that you weren't able to get in and you want to shoot me an email or want to use that Google Voice that I have been texting out to you to reach out to me, feel free to do that. I'm here to help, so any questions you have, please reach out. Those of you who were able to attend here the live session, you can see a recording of this after. I'll be posting that later this evening, so if there's anything you want to check back on, I'll be posting the recording for others who weren't able to attend, and you do not have to watch the recording to get the engagement points if you attended here today. So I'll go ahead and score those points for you for attending, but the recording's there if you need to check back with anything. All right. Well, that will wrap us up for the day. Hope you all are having a good July, and please reach out if there's anything I can help you with.